right. Excuse me. Just getting going here. So today I am getting into shot work. That's right. We are jumping right into actually going shot by shot through the movie and building what we can. Now a lot of this I think is going to be pre-animation, so just kind of maybe some sets. Anyway, the first shot here, which is BFR 1. Let's go ahead and just to refresh our memory, see what's involved in that shot. Excuse me. Okay, so we start off on the front of these cubicles and kind of tilt up to see that there's light coming out of one of them, but the rest are dark. Okay. And in terms of what we did last time, we should have our lovely contact sheet kind of guiding us. And then I've split out the frame I'm working on here from that contact sheet. So this should look quite like this when it's finished. Sorry, gotta sip some water. Oh my gosh, coffee. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
See ya. So lately I've been really obsessed with this bubbly flavored water. It's just like 2 ingredients. Natural flavors and water. It's like LaCroix for poor people, essentially. So it's perfect. But yeah, no, this one is reminiscent of ginger ale. Just, no sugar or salt or anything like that. I don't mind. Tastes good to me. Okay, so essentially what I'm doing here is I have to kind of build this shot out in 3D because of the way the camera moves. So in Photoshop, you'll notice that it's quite a bit larger than the framing of the shot. It'll be cut into this small section here, and that's because I want to give myself this excess for when the camera moves. So if the camera moves just beyond this little frame, there's nothing that's just cut off completely. And I was pretty bad while working on this about labeling my layers, which is something that I tell everyone to do, and I don't do myself all the time. Hooray. Oh, okay, so that's what that is. So this curves that I was trying to figure out what it was, just some little shadows. Boop. Boopity boop. So I think all I've got left to do is get some shadows on the other side of these guys. Maybe just give a little more texture to these metal framing things, and then I think this front piece is pretty good. We're going to be seeing it about this close to begin with, before kind of moving up and tilting. So I think it's a good start. And I don't want this to look really polished. I want it to have kind of that handcrafted feel to the whole short. So essentially just to select a little bit away, because I want to create a shadow, so I'm just going to select a little bit away from these 2 bars. I'll go to select, modify, expand, and maybe like 5 pixels. It could be bigger than that. It could be bigger than that. Undo, select, modify, expand. We'll go 15. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's what I was looking for. And then we don't need shadows in front because that's sort of where the light source is. The light source is down here somewhere. So we'll just take our regular marquee selection and cut that bit out. Cut that bit out. And I believe it's Control Alt Shift click. Oh, wrong one. Control Alt. There we go. And that subtracts the mask we were using for these sidebars. Okay, so we've got, well, I also want to make sure I'm not getting this top bar, so let me find that fella. wherever the heck I put that. Top bar, here we go. So we'll Control Alt, click on that to chop that off there. It's a lot of hotkeys. And I liked the way the shadows looked over here, so I'm just going to copy that curves, delete the mask, and then create a new mask with this selection, and we've got our shadows. Doot, 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 doot. That's the shadow noise, in case you were wondering. Okay, I feel like this is kind of where I want it. I'll take that down a little bit. And we will call this, we'll group all this and call it Hero Divider. And one thing I want to do is I painted it this way for a reason when it's small. So I want to make sure we hit these colors. So I'll make a copy of this, cutting out the text so that doesn't influence our colors. And we're going to apply it just to the divider initially. So I'll also cut out this these black background sections. And this isn't going to give us a perfect result, but I think it's going to get us most of the way there. And we're just going to do a little trick. I'm going to copy the Hero Divider folder, merge it all down so it's a singular unit. I'm not sure what happened there. When I merged it down, yes, so something's happening here. Okay, so let's try this. Merge it down, grab, yeah, it's this light spill right here. I don't know what that is, and I don't think I want that. So we'll look for a bit of a, there we go. We'll just put a mask on it to cut that out. There we go. Gone. Okay. Now we will, with our new merged down front divider, we'll go to Image, Adjustments. Oh, no, we won't. Okay, so what we're trying to match it to, you have to label it something, otherwise it's hard to find. So I'll just call this match in all caps. That usually sticks out. Then with our Hero Divider selected, we'll go to Image, Adjustments, Match Color, and source will be this file, so BFR build 1. Layer, the layer we're matching it to, is our match layer. And that didn't work at all. That actually didn't work even slightly. I think we've got excess information outside the bounding box. I'm not sure what to call it, but let me just crop this, and we'll try that again and see if it works a bit better. Match color, and we'll take that to the match. Okay, you know, it still didn't work. Okay, so maybe this isn't the best method. Yeah, so let's not do that. And I'll just try and match it by hand using curves. That being said, I probably should have grabbed the... I'm going to undo a couple million times. Because I don't need this, but I do want to use that mask so we don't get any more spill coming off the top there. Okay, so pop a curves down in here. The way curves works, it's really powerful, but I think it can also be kind of hard to wrap your head around initially. Top right here, you move that, you're clamping the highlights, right? So this clamps the highlights, you take it down, you're taking the highlights down. Bottom left, you raise that, you're lifting the shadows, you bring it to the right, you're clamping it down. So if you create a point somewhere in the middle and bring it up or bring it down, you see you're kind of increasing or reducing contrast a little bit because you're manipulating the mid-range. And if you want to get rid of a point, you just take that point and drag it off the little curves controller. I do think we're getting a little too hot on the posters, and honestly not hot enough in the light core. So I'm gonna work on this, pretending the light core doesn't exist, and we can add that in afterwards. I think that'll be fine. So we'll just take this down a little bit in the midtones. Now, let's see. Our greens are a bit too hot. I want them to be a little bluer. So take that down a little. That's a bit closer to what we've got. in the art. I'm getting a little pink here, and I'm not sure I love that, so we'll bring this back a little bit. We'll also no, we won't do that. Okay, so reds. Let's talk about red. I think we need to lift the reds because we're getting kind of dark. Yes, it's a little better, a little closer. Should we take the red highlights down a little? I do believe we should. Yes. Okay, so it's not a perfect match, but I do think it's generally closer. Off, on, off, on. I don't love what it's doing to these bars. So what if I just took those? What if I put this curves just below the bars? Would that work? Would that do the trick? Maybe. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. Okay. So what I've got to do is Control-click, select this whole element. And now we're just going to cut out the bars from what we've got selected. So it'll be Control-Alt, which is our little deselector. So we've subtracted the mid bars, and we'll do that with the top bar as well. Control-Alt on that fella. Okay, we'll delete the mask on our curves and then add a new mask, and voila, we are controlling the bars and the main fabric independently. As such, we can select what we just had, go to Select Inverse, and Control-Alt-Shift-click on our main hero divider mask. Boom, and now we have a selection just for our bars. So this will help us really kind of fine-tune exactly what we want to alter. Like, for example, we've got far too much green in the bars here. So we'll bleed a little bit of that green out of the shadows, and we'll like kind of decontrast it a bit, honestly, because they're getting a little bit crunched. I think that's fine. I think that's good. So if we group these together, this will be our CC, color correction, on off, and it's significantly closer, I think, to the painting. The biggest thing that I've got to do is get these light cores back. I don't know that we ever had them to the degree that I was happy with them. So I think the first thing would be maybe I'll just try and do it with gradients. So we'll start off with a gradient. Actually, that's not a bad color to choose. Maybe I'll saturate it a little bit. So we'll throw a little more color in there. Yeah. We'll make this we'll make it a reflected, but we're gonna modify the shape of it after placing it in. So -180, and it's also huge. It's way bigger than we need it. So we'll take this down to maybe, what do you think, 20%, 20%, 30%. Okay. So 30% here. We'll make another one and move that over here. 30% here. Okay. We will group these fellas and make a nice little mask. Now in this mask, I'm gonna change the colors I'm using on the left to just black and white. And I'm gonna use the gradient tool set to multiply to kind of fade this off. And I never remember which direction it works in. Yep, that's the opposite of what I wanted. Very nice. So fade this off from about here. Okay. We might have to do it a couple times. Okay. And then we'll also get that V shape back a little bit. Just cutting off these corners. Okay. So that's a little closer, but not quite. We'll try setting that to overlay. And it's not hot enough is the problem. It needs to be a bit brighter. I think it does. Or does it? I don't know. Maybe this is too much. What if we double it up? Not loving what it's doing to the poster. Let's also modify the color on this fella. We'll throw a hue saturation in there. We'll give it a lot of saturation. It's not really doing much, to be honest. We'll take this off overlay just so I can see what I'm working with here. Okay. Let's make this more of a blue. Okay, and then if we overlay this, is that going to have a big difference? Little bit, not too much. Let's try doubling that up then. I almost think that's working. I almost think that's kind of what I'm going for. Yeah. So we'll just call this foreground lights. Okay. Moving right along. In this shot we're working on, we see multiple cubicles. So I want to know how many layers of this do I have to make. So this is our front. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. But we're probably going to see more down here. Okay, better question. How many unique ones do I need to make? Aha! Now that's the real question. Because I can just reuse. If I make a blank one that's just dark, that's this one and the one back here, and then I can reuse that like, you know, a billion times out in the background. So I have to make 2 more, one that's dark and one that's lit up a bit, because if we look at our contact sheet, we see that one of the cubicles is lit up near the end of this shot. And I think one thing I should do is maybe make like a little shadow of a person, because the next shot we see our protagonist and she's working at her desk. So it might be good to have like a little silhouette shadow cut out here to indicate that she is in that space. So that's going to be pretty easy to do, I think. What have I clicked on? Okay. I don't need that anymore. Okay. So we have our hero divider. Oh, that's where our light was coming from. Okay. Okay. How cool. So let's make a dark divider and a lit divider. And I'm just going to turn off the lit divider. We'll just work on the dark divider first. First and foremost, we don't need those posters, as that's only on the front. So I'm going to turn that off. What did I? Oh, those are okay. I'm going to trash those guys. Goodbye. Top bar is fine. Of course, it's going to have top bar. It's going to have a mid bar, so that's all good. What are you? Okay, first I'm going to turn off everything. There we go. It's going to be less confusing. Right, okay. Doodly-doo. So this is all just lighting. This is just more lighting. So this I can get rid of. Be gone with you! This is more lighting. Get rid of that. More lighting. More lighting. More lighting. Okay. That's all gone. Color correction, that seems fine. Foreground lights, don't need that. Okay, and now we just we'll just throw curves in there and bring it down to the darkest levels within our key painting. So there we go. Let's, in terms of the grays look pretty good. So let's take the darkest tones and lighten, yeah. Let's just fiddle with it a little bit until it's pretty close to where we want it. I think that's pretty good. What I'll do in Nuke is I'll probably flip it every time I use it, just so the irregularities in the bars don't read as being copy-pasted. And once we get into Nuke work on this, if they do read as copy-pasted, then I can just jump in here and make some minor alterations and move right along, which is always nice. Okay, so we've got our dark divider. Now our lit divider that's the one that our main character is going to reside within. So we will need, once again, to get rid of these posters, let's just turn everything off. Okay, so poster gone, pin's gone. And this, okay, this is some darkness and lightness. I don't entirely disagree with this, but for the sake of what we're doing, it's not supremely helpful. I think this darkness is a bit too much. So let's put a mask on this, and we'll use our gradient trick, except this time I'm going to set it to a radial. So I'll basically be drawing a circular gradient, and I did it backwards again. Okay. What am I doing? Did I do it backwards? No, I did it right. Maybe. Let's reverse that. Haha! Okay. So that's a little closer to what I'm thinking. Yeah. And then these I can keep. Oh, not that one. I'll keep these two, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to... What were they? They were set to overlay? Okay. I'll merge them and then blur them so that it's less of a distinct singular shape. Okay, we'll set that to overlay. Boom. Okay. And yes, we can still use these highlights. Yep, that's working out fine. Now we don't need that. That's shadows for the other things that we don't use. That'll be fine, but it's going to be cut off here, so I don't have to worry about it too much. And this, I think, should bring it back in line with what we were doing before, which I think it has. And then the foreground lights. That's just adding a bit of that blue back, and I think it's okay, but I'm going to take that down to maybe like 15%. Yeah, because I think this is better. The silhouette. Yeah, let's talk about the silhouette. So what I should do is I should bring in my sketch of our main character. There's no dialogue in this. As such, I have not given anyone names. So I just keep calling them the character. I guess I should give them names. Okay. And we're just going to be making a little silhouette shape here. And she'll probably look a bit different once animated, but for the purposes of a silhouette, I think this will do just fine. Okay. Just add in some bits here and there. Okay. Yeah, that should be fine. Just there we go. Nope. Okay. So we've got this, and we'll just let's just try overlaying it. See what that does. Very little, almost nothing. So we'll take that down, and then I also want to blur it a bit. Well, you know, it shouldn't be this color. It should be the color of the shadows. These are the darkest shadows. So, it should be that color. I'll just take that down a little bit. And then we can blur that. That's too much. It's too sharp. It's too sharp. I think that's pretty good. Cool. Yeah. Cool, 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 cool. Cool, cool. And then I'll just paint on a layer above this and kind of give that color to the rest of the space down here. I don't think we're going to see it, but you know, it's going to take me 3 seconds, so why not? This isn't going as planned. Probably should use a different brush for this. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I doing that? Just get yourself a nice soft brush. Hey, much better. Sometimes I make things difficult for myself for absolutely no reason. Cool. Okay, good enough. So we've got our lit divider. Totally lit, fam. Forgive me, for I have sinned. All right. Cool, 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 cool. Now, here's something. In our shot, we tilt up, and we've got these sort of subdividers. They look pretty standard. They look kind of like the regular wall, but it's cut off. So I might be able to do that in Nuke just using the dark divider and cutting it like into a section. And then I think at the very end, I'll need to paint the top perspective of these bars, and then I'll project it from the last frame, right? Because we don't see them from that angle until the end. Okay, so I think right now we've got enough to get ourselves into trouble, which is always a good feeling. Great, so let's save this out. Save these out as individual pieces. We've got our background. So file, save as. We're in the correct shot. We're in our build folder, and we'll call these build layers. Okay, and then this is shot BFR01, BG layer 010. And the reason I do that, I always go in multiples of 10 when it comes to layers. And the reason is so that if I have to add layers between what I've got or previous to what I've got, since I'm going in multiples of 10, it won't mess up my numbering convention if I have to add like something in the background. So then it would be layer 11, right? So I've got that span of 10 to work with before I get in numeric trouble. So I say these out as PNGs because I'm a pleb and I don't want to deal with alphas, and it's just an easy way to deal with transparency issues. Okay, so we've got our hero divider. Oh, wrong folder. Nice job. And we'll save this as layer 20, and then we'll call this hero. We have our dark divider. The dark divider. And we'll just call this one dark, level 30. And the levels don't make too much sense in this one because I'm going to be reusing these slices to build out a whole cubicle system, but having numbers is better than not having numbers. And I'll save the last one. Okay. It's level 40, and this will be the lit divider. And I think I'll also save out the ref so I can open it in Nuke and immediately know what's going on without having to worry about anything. So it'll all be in one place. We'll just call this ref, no numbers. Okay. And like a good person, I will save my Photoshop file before quitting. Haha. Cool. Now let's jump into Maya? No, Nuke. What are you thinking? There's going to be no Maya involved in this short. Oh, that's a lie. There will be Maya involved in this short. I forgot about what she's actually working on her screen, which will be in Maya. So, but that's not for a bit. So let's just focus on the now, shall we?
Okay.
Now I'm opening up the project file I used to create my first edit. So to create this camera move. So we've already got a camera in 3D space. So the first portion of the work is done for us, which is always helpful. Let's read in those Photoshop files. Okay. And cool. So we'll just throw a pre-mult on all these. Looks like the alphas have successfully gone through. Yeah. So we got all these. It's funny. This is the dark one, but it looks lighter than this one. I can fix that with a grade note. That's fine. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. First, let's figure out. I probably moved something, which is why it's not able to read that anymore. Let's find that image. I don't know. Yeah, I got no clue. All right, so we'll just connect this to that. Because essentially, it's got to be the first frame from this camera move. So we'll just copy this camera. No, we won't. Why are we doing that? We'll copy the values from this camera. So 200 in Z space. At this point, right? Because we want to shoot just from first frame. In terms of projection, nothing has changed. Okay, cool. But what we are going to change is the horizontal aperture of our projection camera. Why is that? Well, we are shooting this. I created this Photoshop file at twice the size. So just so we have information in the overscan. So we need to ramp this up at twice the size. So if you take 24.576, multiply that by 1.5, boom, it's twice the size. So theoretically, if we look through our camera, this should be a good analogous to what we rendered. Speaking of which, let's load that up. Okay. Why are you not playing? Hello. There we go. Well, it's very helpful, thanks. Okay. So that's our analogous. We can probably get closer. We can probably make this a bit bigger. I think I might do that. So instead of multiplying that by 1.5, maybe, did not even change anything. Yes, it did. Okay. Maybe I'll multiply that by 1.6 times 1.6. It could still even be bigger. Could still be bigger. So we're just gonna undo times 1.7. Okay. Yeah, I think that's cool. I think that's fine. We'll see what our camera does. Our camera pushes in a little bit, and then it goes up and over. Okay, so let's look in 3D to see what's happening here. So since I scaled this up, you know, I could even scale it up further because it looks like we're not connecting. Okay, so about 42, 50. So I'll just bring this up to where it's resting just under this fella here. I think that's good. And also the card it's on is too small now. So we'll scale the card up just to get all the excess in. La-di-da! We did it. We scaled it up. Cool. Okay, so theoretically, I should be able to use this same camera, the same projection camera, to put my unlit guy here, and then the lit one here, and then keep just kind of stacking them off into the background. I feel like that can work. I do believe it will. Okay. So let's just get rid of that. But I am going to copy these two, put a little dot there so that it's. And the reason I connect, I use dots to connect cameras and stuff, is if I just had these projections plugged straight into the camera, well, if I wanted to change out the camera, I'd have to undo and then redo a bunch of connections. Whereas if I need to swap the camera out, boom, just swap that one thing out. So it makes it much simpler. And unfortunately, I just got rid of my reference, which is helpful. Nice job. Okay. We'll just take you over there. Okay. Bear with me here. Okay. So now we've got a dark cubicle wall. We'll throw this right back here. I think I need to make this card a little bigger. There we go. Now, is it? It is getting bigger because the projection's getting bigger. Okay. One thing I can do to kind of combat that, I could use a different projection camera, but I don't know. I don't want a bunch of cameras floating around, so I'll just use a transform and shrink the wall and scale just a little bit. Kind of a 0.95. Kind of a dirty trick, but at this point, making a 2D film in Nuke is a dirty trick, regardless. So, what do you want from me? All right. I don't know what I'm doing here with the spacing, so I think I'll take it from here. Yeah. No, I'll keep this. Yeah. Sorry, I'm figuring this out as I go along, which probably doesn't make for great commentary. C'est la vice. That's French. All right. Now for our lit fam. Okay. Move this one back. Theoretically, I guess it's supposed to be back there, but that just seems wrong, so we'll put it right here. And transform that down a little bit. Little bit. That seems okay. All right, we're gonna unhook this and see what we see in the render. Okay. They do look way too close together. That's a fact. So let's get ourselves another viewer so I can see these things at the same time. So if we throw another viewer into here, okay, we put that on the scene, then we detach that viewer, okay. Let's make this smaller. And we'll make this smaller too. So we got this framed up, and now when I move these guys, I can see it change in real time. So how far back does this need to be in order for us to, well, okay, our projection camera doesn't reach far enough, so we need to add some space. There we go. Okay, how far back does this need to be before we see that there's some kind of difference, some kind of glow maybe. Pretty far back, and honestly, it's a little too big. So if it, let's say it were that far back, we'd still have to translate it down a little bit. So yeah, I can commit to that. That's fine. Yeah, but. I also need to move this middle one because it's just way too close to this other guy. Just to give it some kind of like in-between space. That seems somewhat even. Now let's check our level, because that's gonna have to scale down a little bit too. Okay, all right. And then also, before I pre-mult it, I am gonna throw a grade note on this and darken it a little, because it's just not reading the way I want it to. I guess that's a little better. You know what? Okay, I'll do this a little bit, but I think in the final comp, I'm gonna bring a bit more contrast to everything. Okay, so cool, we'll get rid of that. Okay, in this shot, we go up and over, and we want to see the dividers and stuff. Just play through this. I play through in somewhat real time. And the camera move isn't really, it's not really revealing what I want it to reveal. So let's try modifying that a little bit. I feel like it could go a bit higher. Without necessarily needing to go much closer. I think that's the Z space bit, yeah. So we don't even need to get that much closer. Let's take that down a little bit. Oh, that's closer, that's much closer. Take that down a little bit, and we'll raise it up a little bit. That's too much. Okay, does that feel okay? Let's try playing through that. This is the exciting part of making a film. All the little minutia and indecision. And this is just a single sample playthrough with no motion blur, no nothing. Yeah, I think I'm going to add a lot of contrast to this because the whole point of the shot is to make it clear that there's one cubicle that's lit up. And keep in mind, this is without the side dividers in place yet, but it's not really sending the idea that I want it to. So I do think the key to that is going to be adding some contrast. Okay. Oh, why does that happen? Weird. Okay, yeah, so I think I can add a couple more of these dark cubicles in the background. And instead of this, I'm going to throw a checkerboard on this flat one. Yeah. Just to give us a nice measurement so we don't start making things too high. Although this guy's already a little bit poking out there. Okay. Bit better. And this guy is gonna be behind that one. Aha, but you will need a different transform. Okay, so for every dark one, I will need a different transform as well. Good to know. But I'm not going to copy the actual file itself because you don't want it having to reread that file a million times over. So we'll just keep it from getting bogged down. throw one more in just for a good laugh. Okay, let's get rid of this. I ended up not putting a checkerboard on it like I said I would. How rude. How very rude. All right. Okay, so we'll need a bit more bandwidth on this guy, this final one. But I think, aside from that, we're doing okay. That's a bit better, yeah. Okay, so this guy needs to be a little wider, and let me just make sure it's not his card. That's too short. It is not. Okay, fortunately, this is, in fact, somewhat modular. So, what I can do is just add a couple more. Merge them. This one. Wow! Would you look at that? Okay, so that should fix that, I think. And let's put a crop on there so we don't have a bunch of stuff we don't need hanging out. Okay. Sweet. Okay, next up is the background. So you've got this nice dark background. Oops, saved over the next version. Let's version up. Never forget to save. It will save your life. I'm not proud. So let's check out the background. So you should be the biggest, baddest one around. Doodle-doo-doo-doo. And we're just going to scrub through just to make sure that still works. Like we don't see around the edges of that background. Oh, and let's go ahead and not look at that. There we go. Weird. Okay. Okay, we'll just do a playthrough. You know, um, with this foreground piece, I think I'm going to lose this piece of paper. I might just kill this piece of paper and put this guy right in front. Because, first off, this is hard to read, and the scale is weird. The scale of the paper should be much smaller, the lines on the paper. Additionally, that information is already on the poster, so why not just use the poster? This is a classic example of following your storyboards even when they don't actually make any sense. So, I mean, it made sense when I did the storyboard, but at this point, it doesn't make sense anymore. So we will have to go back into Photoshop and change that piece. However, nothing's really lost because all we have to do is replace the file in our nuke script and it'll automatically update and life is good. Life moves on. So there's that. But I can easily do that when I go back into Photoshop to add the top parts to these things, the metal bars on top of the cubicle separators. Yeah. I wonder if we should have the lit up cubicle be one behind so it's not as close. Yeah, I'm thinking that would look better. So that it's this one up here instead of this one down here. I think I would like that better compositionally. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. For sure. Also, I still feel like this camera move is a bit too extreme. Let's try cutting it in half. So this will be 2000. Oh, negative 2000 maybe? Jeez, I don't know what I'm doing. Huh, okay. So 0. It needs to be 3000. Could be 3500, maybe. Maybe. Okay. I don't hate it. Let's take it up just a little bit more. If I do this, I won't need to move that up though. Okay, it's less extreme. And I do think we could take this to negative 15 maybe. Yeah, but if I do that, then I can, okay. I just don't want the camera to be moving so much. I think that's one of my, yeah, okay, and then I will want to put this up. I don't like having the camera rocket around all the time because it's easy to do. It's easy to make things move, and you always want to show off like the space you've envisioned, but at the same time, I think like static shots and small camera moves just probably make a better viewing experience. As soon as you see like a CG camera rocketing around the environment, like, I don't know, for me personally, that just kind of really takes me out of the movie, or I guess short in this case. Also, it looks like did something different with the color toning. I'll have to look at that when I go back into Photoshop. Because this is correct. It should be blue like this. So, yeah. I'll have to look into that. Well, I guess that's better. I don't know. Regardless. Work to do. Got work to do. So the first thing I want to do is swap the positions of these two. So, let's take a look. Is it this one? It is this one. Okay. And of course it's this one. So card 5 is where we want to put it. So we'll just switch those cards. Cool. So we switched their positions. However, you know, they're now a bit of the wrong size, so we'll just tweak that a little bit. Cool. Okay. Okay, that's that sorted. Next we want to do the sidebars. So let's take a good look at this guy and give ourselves a little room to work with here. There we are. Boop. Oh, another thing before I forget. I wanted to flip at least one of these. What about you? Let's do this one for sure. So we use a mirror node, horizontal. Blop. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Maybe that's good enough. We'll see. Well, with the sidebars in, it might be fine. But, once again, we'll see when we get there. Okay. I'm jumping in here. I'm going to use a roto. A roto is essentially creating masks. So you can cut stuff out. I want this to be about this long, so we'll cut this. Great line. Good line. Beautiful. Ay, ay, ay. And we'll chop that off. Maybe it can be a little further over here. What do you think? Does that look good? Does that look even? Maybe. Sure. Yeah, that's even. crop this down so we just have what we want in that frame. Okay. Now it's even. Ha ha ha. Okay. Okay, cool. So we have our divider. Beautiful. Let's just put this over here. So first thing that needs dividers is, I don't think we're gonna have it in the front because it's supposed to be like the front walkway, but definitely this guy, which I believe is you. It is you. So first thing we're going to do is scale this down so that it matches the source. Is that about right? I feel like that's almost about right. It could be a little bit higher. That's too much. You've gone too far. Okay. I'm feeling like that's a good compromise. And then if we take this and let's see, which direction are we rotating it? Not that way. This way. Okay, that's Y. So we take it 90 degrees in Y. Oh, look at you. Look at you. Nifty, 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 nifty. Okay. We'll just group all these. Okay. Take this over. Cool, and then 2 more over here, and I think we're okay. Now, I should make those out of this light one so that they still have a little bit of that light spill. So I will. But that's going to be pretty simple because I imagine it will just involve copying and pasting this, and instead of linking this to that, we link that to this. Let's see if my assertions are correct. Wow, they are. Cool. Also, just so we don't get ourselves into trouble, we're gonna mirror that, I think. No, what am I doing? Maybe mirror this. Yeah, I think, maybe. Maybe. Let's see what happens. Okay, so if we're in here and we want this and that, but we want that over there. Okay, I think that is what I was looking for actually. Yeah, that might work. Might work, might work. This over here. Let's give it a look. We'll give it a look-see. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on right there. There's something weird happening. Aha, it is weird. It could be something having to do with these settings, but for now, let's just just play through it. See what we got. Oh, but you know what? For this back portion, we don't want it to be lit up. We don't want it to be like this. So what we're gonna do this part will be made of this part. So I'm gonna make a new crop. We'll have a crop for that crop. Whoa, why are you like this? I don't know, I ask myself that 3 times a day. And we'll just take this in like that, doop. And we'll make a little merge node and put that over top of that guy. So we get a nice dark separation. Cool, okay, let's see if that reads. I think it does. But we do also want to make sure that we have that cutoff is not, yeah, we want that cutoff to be reinforced by where it intersects with this thing. I think that's okay. Maybe that's okay. Yeah, and there's some weird jittery stuff happening here. I'm hoping that I can find the right settings. It might just be anti-aliasing. It might just be turning on some, but yeah, there's some weird jitter stuff happening here that I do not appreciate. So that's feeling kind of cool. And let's look at our scanline render to see if we can do anything about that. Okay, anti-aliasing doesn't seem to affect it. Z-blend doesn't seem to affect it. What about samples? If we put motion blur on, is that gonna... Well, I mean, to a degree. So what am I doing here? Should this be merge geo maybe? Now I've done it. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. Yay. And now we drink our coffee and feel sad. It came back. Well, that did not fix it. I'll have to look into that. That's a problem. you have problems, this is what you do. Okay, so glitch. Oh, come on. Not nuke the Call of Duty map. The Foundries nuke. Card in nuke. Glitch. That's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, this is the point when you just try a bunch of different stuff and hope that you stumble upon the right solution. It's not terribly interesting. But anyway, so the next thing I'm going to do is on the final frame, I'll render that out, take it into Photoshop, and paint the tops of these, project them onto that flat horizontal card we've got, and you know, some minor image control stuff aside, we've got a shot, which is pretty cool. I have a lot of changes to make, like making the color temperature of these two the same, getting rid of this this little card here and moving the poster centrally. But I'm feeling pretty good about the setup. I think it's generally working out pretty well. So for your sake, I will leave it at that. Thanks for joining me, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'll probably start streaming when I have something more interesting that I'm doing other than just troubleshooting an issue. So have a good one.